In this video, I will be teaching you how to create your very own Flappy Bird game on Scratch. This game will have quite a number of programming tricks and it'll be a lot of fun. As you can see here, your character Flappy is loading gracefully. Once we hit the start button, the menu fades away and off he flies. If you press the mouse button or spacebar, you'll fly a little bit higher and you can see we have obstacles to avoid. If you avoid them successfully, you gain points, but if you collide with them, the game ends. These obstacles will be generated indefinitely, and notice that they look different, so we have a certain challenge to the game. Towards the end of the chapter, we'll make the game even more challenging, as we'll increase the speed of the game and increase the gravity and various other factors. I'm really excited to teach you guys this game, and I hope you'll learn a lot. Alright, so once you've created your new project, the next step is getting your sprites and your backdrops. Now you can find these off of Google, but I've also attached the downloadable file in the description. So once you download that, you just go to File, Load from your computer, and you just import it in here. And now you have all of your sprites. So now that you have all of your sprites, you can see that you have 6 different sprites: the Flappy, your character, the scorekeeper, the start button, the ground, the pipe, and the title. And you also have 3 different backgrounds, so you can pick one, so just to customize it. Alright, so now we're gonna do the start button and the title screen are looking pretty big, so we're just gonna reduce the size to 50% just to make it a little more manageable. Yeah, that seems good. Now we're gonna do the exact same thing for the title screen. Alright. Yeah, that seems good. Alright, now that that's done, I want it to be so that when I click the start button, it broadcasts a message to all the other sprites to prepare for the start of the game. And also the title and the start button will fade out of screen so you can actually see Flappy Bird. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the start sprite and go to events and call when the sprite clicked, and then go to repeat 10 times and change ghost effect by 10 each time. So this will basically just change its transparency 10 times, so it'll just get like clearer and clearer and clearer until you can't see it anymore. And then right after that, we'll put hide, so it'll just go away. But we also need to do broadcasting to broadcast a message telling all the other sprites that the game has started. So we'll just broadcast game started. So let's just check how that goes. Alright, that's great. But we have a problem. When we click the start button the next time, it doesn't go back to normal. So we have to do that when flag clicked, set size to 50. We also have to go to clear graphic effects. And also show, because we hit it last time. So let's try that out. When we click on it, yeah, it disappears, and when we bring the flag back, that's perfect. Okay. Alright, so now that we've already coded part of the start button, we'll go over and try to do the same thing for the title screen, as it also needs to fade out when the game starts. So first, we'll go to when I receive game started, and we'll just put the exact same thing as we did for the start button. We'll go to repeat 10 times and change ghost effect by 10 each time and hide. But don't forget, when we click the start button, it won't come back unless we call it back here in the when flag clicked. So we'll just do when flag clicked, clear all graphic effects, show, and set size to 50. Okay, so now that we've coded the title button and the start button, we're gonna go to the ground and we're gonna try to make it so that give the illusion so that you're moving forward. So first, let's just set the ground's position using we'll do X 0 and Y -140, and then now we're just gonna try to get it to keep moving left to make the illusion that you're going right. So we'll do repeat until, and make sure it's a repeat until and not just a repeat, because that won't work. And then repeat until x position is less than negative 236, and then we'll just change the x value by -3 each time. So let's see how that is. Okay, so that's working, but once the ground goes away, you're left with this like ugly white spot here, which we don't want. So to fix that, we can make a clone of the ground to replace it here, so that the clones will just keep on generating and moving to the left. So it'll be kind of an infinite loop. So let's go to create clone of myself, and then when I start as a clone, we'll set its position probably to x equals 240 and y is -140. And then we'll do the same code for this. But the problem here again is that we're still left with this ugly white spot, which we need to fix. So to try to fix this, we can set the x position to x less than or equal to 0 instead of -236, so that it'll just glide to the center and stop, so it'll cover up that section. And then also what we want to do is, so that it keeps going forever, we can go to control and create another clone of myself. So now we've coded this, but the problem with this code here is that it'll do when I start as a clone, and each clone will follow the same instructions here. And the problem with that is if they all slide into the middle, they'll all just keep creating we would want them to like go off the screen and disappear. You can see that they stop and it starts glitching a little bit. So that's a problem. So now what we're gonna do is just gonna take this repeat, duplicate it, and put it here, so that after it creates its clone, it slides off to the left and it's gone, so none of the clones start stacking and overlapping. Now that we've done that, our only problem is that the original sprite cannot go all the way off screen and we can't delete it, so we're just going to put a hide at the bottom to make that also go away with the rest of the clones. So now that we've hid the original, we can delete these clones, so we'll just go here and do a delete this clone at the bottom, which will delete this clone from the center stage. Alright, now once we've coded that, let's check out how it works. Alright, it looks pretty good, but our one problem here is that when we restart the game, our ground is actually hidden. So to fix that, we'll just put a show after the when flag is clicked to make the ground show up again after we restart the game. Okay, so now that we've coded our ground sprite, let's move on to coding our Flappy Bird. So we'll drag in when this flag clicked and just set its location to x equals -80 and y equals 0. We'll also set its size to 50%. And now we want it to be so that when we click, Flappy moves up and down. So let's try something. We'll move forever and change y by -1. And let's see what happens when you click this block. Flappy just continuously moves downward, which isn't exactly what we want. We want him to move downwards by different amounts each time, so it looks like he's accelerating towards the ground, unlike what we have here right now. So we'll make a variable called vertical speed, and we'll just set it to this sprite only, none of the other sprites, just Flappy Bird. And we'll do a set vertical speed to -1, and then we'll change y by vertical speed instead of -1. Now if we click on this block, you'll see that it doesn't do anything different, as we were already changing it by -1, and we're just doing the same thing here now. Okay, but notice what I'm going to do here now, where I'm going to change vertical speed by -1 each time, And we're also going to pull in a wait by 0.5 seconds block and change it to 0.5 seconds. And now we're going to see what happens when you click it. You can see that each time Flappy moves down, it's hard to notice at first, but each time he moves down, he moves by an increasingly larger amount. This is basically Flappy accelerating towards the ground. Now what we're changing it by is gravity. So what I'm going to do here is make a variable called gravity, and instead of making it unique to Flappy, we'll make it for all the sprites. Okay, so now instead of using this change vertical speed by 1 block, I'm going to go and get the set block, and I'm going to set vertical speed to vertical speed minus gravity. So we'll grab our set block and we'll go to operators and get to the minus and subtract vertical speed from gravity. So setting gravity to 1 will accelerate Flappy in increments of 1. If we set gravity to an even bigger value, Flappy will accelerate and even harder towards the ground. So if I click this little snippet now, setting the gravity to 1, let me just get the set gravity to 1, you can see that Flappy falls to the ground. That's fine. But if we set gravity to a larger level, say 2, and now we click on it, you can see that Flappy falls at an even faster rate. So for now, we're just going to keep gravity to 1 because that's enough. And we'll also set vertical speed to 0 because we can trust the gravity to take care of the falling part for us. Now we'll just clip this all to our when flag clicked. We'll go when flag clicked. We'll do set gravity to 0 as our, or to 1 as our first thing, and then set vertical speed to 0 as our fourth thing, and then we'll just add this at the bottom and get rid of all these extra blocks. Okay, so as you can see, when we hit the flag now, Flappy will naturally fall towards the ground. Now there's one more thing I would like to show you. So vertical speed equals 0 means letting go of Flappy to fall to the ground. But what if vertical speed is a positive value, such as, say, 7? So if Flappy starts the positive vertical speed initially, it'll change y by the vertical speed, meaning it'll go up instead of going down. But gravity will decrease the vertical speed and Flappy will stop going up and start going down again. So let's see what happens. You can see that he jumps a little bit. So this is what we aim to do when we hit the spacebar or the mouse button. As Flappy is in the air, we'll set its vertical speed to a positive value like 10 and leave gravity to do the trick of accelerating Flappy towards the ground. Now remember, Flappy is only able to jump after we click the start button, so Flappy will need to react to the message broadcast by the start button, which is start game. Okay, so now we're going to go to events and bring out the when I receive game started button and add everything in this forever loop plus the set vertical speed and connect it to this when I receive game started. And for now, we're just going to leave that as 0. Now, we want to add something that checks whether the mouse key is down or the space key is pressed so that we can set the vertical speed to a positive value like we saw a minute ago. So first, we're going to go to Control and select the if and then. Then we'll go to Operators and select the or. And we'll go to Sensing and we'll do the if space key pressed or if mouse down. And inside this if loop, we'll just go to variables and put a set vertical speed to, let's just say 7. Now we'll move this into our forever loop and make it the first thing. And now, as you can see here, after we click start, when we click the space button or our mouse key, Flappy flies up and down. This is amazing. So now we'll add some small cosmetic things to make Flappy look like he's flying. So I'm going to go to sound and we'll do start sound. But instead of sound effects point, we'll do sound effects
wait. And also, I'm going to make Flappy change its direction a bit when he's jumping or falling towards the ground. So I'm going to go to motion and bring in the point in direction and just put it in our forever loop, but not in the if. And we'll go to the subtract and put 90 here. And so we want it to depend on the vertical speed. If the vertical speed is positive, then the direction needs to be pointed upwards. So and if it's negative, then it needs to be pointing downwards. So I'm gonna pull out this times, and we'll do 2 times the vertical speed. So if it's positive, he'll point upwards, and if it's negative, he'll point downwards. So now, when we hit the flag button and just start this game, you can see that Flappy is pointing and flying perfectly. This is amazing. Alright, so now you can see that we have coded our Flappy Bird to fly. Now, there's another issue. When we click the flag, Flappy is actually in the same downwards position as it was when I stopped the game. So let's fix that really quick. We'll just go to motion here and pull out the point in direction 90 and add it to our when the flag clicked. So let's just try it, and now he's pointing in the correct direction. So now that we fixed that, we want it to be so that if Flappy hits the ground, we'll make him fade out and kick off the start of a new game. So if he hits the ground, the game is over. So we'll need to write a new script for that. So when Flappy receives the start game message, we'll add a new script that constantly checks if Flappy has touched the ground. If he touches the ground, he'll fade out and it'll broadcast a new message signaling to the other sprites that the game is over. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to drag in another when I receive start game. So as you can see here, we're going to make 2 independent pieces of code with the when I receive start game. So when we have multiple scripts starting with the same block, they are always executed independently. So both of these scripts will be executed when the sprite receives the start game message. So the second script will wait until Flappy touches the ground, and as soon as it does that, it'll stop him from falling further. It'll make him play this little sound, which is sound effect underscore hit, which sounds like a punch sound, and then it'll make Flappy fade out and then broadcast a new signal to the other sprites that the game is over. So I'm going to go to control and pull out the wait until, and we'll go to sensing and do wait until touching the ground sprite. And so because this script controls how Flappy is going to fall, when we set vertical speed to 0, then the y coordinate for Flappy will not change anymore. So it basically stops him from falling. So I'm going to go to the variables and get the set vertical speed to 0. Then we're going to get the start sound, and we're going to do sound effect hit. And now we want to make Flappy fade out. So just like we did with the start and the title sprite, we will go we'll increase its transparency. So I'm going to go to control and get a repeat, and we'll say repeat 5 times. And we want to make him fade out quicker than the other things. So then we're going to go to change ghost effect by 20% each time, as 20 times 5 will be 100. So by the end of this, he'll be completely faded out. And after he's completely faded out, we want him to broadcast a message so the other sprites know the game is over so we can start a new game. So we'll go to events and broadcast, and we'll broadcast a new message called new game. And so now, because we want this when I receive game started to stop once we broadcast new game, we'll pull out a when I receive new game, and we'll go to control and to get a stop all other scripts in this sprite. Okay, so now what should happen after Flappy stops all the other scripts when it receives new game? Well, we'd like Flappy to reappear at its original position. So fade in a bit, and then we'd like him to float up and down, as you saw in the original presentation of the game. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make Flappy wait for 1 second, And then we're going to have it go back to its original position, and we'll just bring this and duplicate it and just add it back over here, including this point in direction block. But we can exclude the set size to 50% block because there's nothing in here that's actually changing Flappy's size. So his size will stay the same throughout the entire game. Okay, so now we need to make Flappy fade in as we have him fade out after he died. So we'll go to repeat 10 times and we'll change ghost effect, but instead of changing his effect by a positive number, we'll change it by a negative number so he fades in instead of fading out. Okay, so now let's test that out. When we click the flag and start, see, he fades right back in. Now, let's also make Flappy float up and down a bit, maybe something like a small animation. So we'll go to control and bring in a forever loop. We'll also bring in 2 repeat blocks. So what we want Flappy to do is go down by a little bit and then go up by a little bit and down and up forever and ever. So we'll go to repeat and we'll just change its Y value by a positive value for up and then negative value for down. So we'll just change Y by 1 and then we'll change Y again by -1. And now if we just detach this block and click on it and see what happens, you can see that Flappy moves up and down. So we'll just attach this back. Now, I would also like to make it so that Flappy actually flaps his wings, because if you can check, if you see in his costumes, he actually has a wing down, wing horizontal, and a wing up. So, if you can cycle these costumes, we would create the impression that Flappy is actually flying in the air. So let me do that. I'll go and bring in a forever loop, and then we're going to have him switch costumes. So we'll just go to switch costume to wing up. Then we'll have him wait for a really small amount of time. Let's say just 0.1 seconds, which is a tenth of a second, so a really small amount of time. Then we'll duplicate this and add it back, but we'll do wing horizontal, so this costume. Then we'll duplicate everything in here and change it to wing down and then wing horizontal. So this will have him have his wing up, horizontal, down, horizontal. So let's see how this works. We'll just click on this forever loop, and you can see that it actually looks like Flappy is flapping his wings.
But
now we have a problem. How do we bring this forever loop into the other script? Because we already have a forever loop over here, and forever loops are terminal. They don't fit any other blocks. So now I'm going to start this forever loop as a reaction to another message that Flappy will broadcast, and only Flappy will be there to listen to it. So now I'm going to go to events and broadcast flap wings as a message. Now, after we broadcasted flap wings, we'll go to when flap wings receive, Flappy will flap his wings, and we'll just have it broadcasted right here. So now, as you can see here, when you click the start, and Flappy falls, you can see he reappears back here, and it gives the illusion that he's actually flying. But now we have another small problem. When we click the flag, Flappy isn't moving at all. He only starts moving after we click the start button and he crashes. So to fix that, we should have another sprite broadcast the new game message so that Flappy will start doing all this code at the beginning of the game. So we'll go to our start button and we'll have it broadcast the message new game. And now we can see that when you click the start button, Flappy starts flying. So now we want it to be so that after Flappy dies, a new game starts. And we've already coded that part for Flappy, but now we need to code so that the start and the title sprites come back after we broadcast new game. So we'll just do a when I receive new game we'll have it show. Wait 1 second. And then we'll have it fade back in. So we'll just get a repeat 10 times and change ghost effect by -10 so it fades back in. And the code for the sprite, for the title sprite is also the same, so we'll just hover over and drop it in. And you can see that's here too. So now let's just test out and everything comes back. So at this point, we've coded about half of this Flappy Bird game. And we've made a lot of progress. As you can see, we've coded a lot of code, and we've basically finished coding our Flappy Bird sprite, our title sprite, and our start sprite. Now, all that's left to code are the obstacles and the score. So, join me in the next video where we code the rest of that. See you there.